Hello, my name is Mike. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about Unexpected Season 5, Episode 8. And we start off with Tiara and Dee. Today is Tiara's C-section, and she is excited and very ready to get the baby out. She has been trying to start up her labor, but exercising and dancing with Ella. And while she's getting ready, she's asked Dee to go get something. When he comes into the room, he has his PlayStation in his hand. And Tiara doesn't understand why he needs a PlayStation because she doesn't think there'll be any room to put it, but Dee wants it there because he doesn't want to get bored while Tiara is in labor, and also newborn babies sleep a lot, so I get why he wants something to do while he's there at the hospital. But I feel like, personally me, I'll be too nervous to want to do anything while my girlfriend's in labor. But also, since this is the second time doing this, he may feel more calmer about it. And Tiara's mom is in Maryland with her, so when the baby gets here, she could have help with Ella and the new baby, since Ella is a wild child. And in the confessional with Ella, Tiara, and Melissa, the producer asks Ella, whose girl is she? And she says Mimi, referring to Melissa, her grandmother. And she kind of leaned towards her, which I thought that was really cute, because I feel like we don't always get to see the grandparents and the grandchild interact with each other. And going back to this scene, Melissa says to Dee, protect my daughter and make sure everything goes fine with her, and he says he can't do anything and he's just there for support. But in the confessional, Tiara says that when she was in labor with Ella, her mom was there and was her support system, and Dee really wasn't there for her the way I guess she needed him to be, because he was physically there, but I guess emotionally he wasn't there for her. Tiara says he was just on his phone chilling the whole time, but in his defense, he says that it was kind of a weird experience for him because one moment she was in labor, then they said she had to get a C-section before he knew it, Ella was born. So I guess it was just kind of present thing, and he really wasn't there because at the time he was only 17, so I could understand why he really wouldn't know what to do in a situation like that. Going back to the scene, Tiara and Dee walk out to go get in the car, and when they start driving, Tiara starts to cry because her mom has always been there for her, and this time she can't, so it really makes her nervous about going to a C-section because Tiara just turned 18 and her mother has always been her support system. So for your support system not to be there for you anymore, that can be nerve-wracking for anyone. Next, we move on to Emerson and Mason. Emerson just had the baby one day ago and everything is going really good, and it's exciting but also tiring because it's a newborn, but also a really happy moment for them. In the confessional with Emerson and Mason, Emerson says that the doctor told them that they can't have sex till 6 weeks after Mateo is born. And Emerson doesn't have an issue with that because she's scared, which Mason is also okay with that. I guess he didn't really say anything, but from the looks of it, he seemed okay with it. And later on in the day, when Emerson and Mason bring the baby home, Erica's the first one to hold the baby. And she says it's such a good feeling and a feeling she can't explain. And it's like a grandparent feeling because it's not your child, but you love it like it's your own child. And everybody's just really happy and excited to have the baby home. And in the confessional, Emerson says that it's overwhelming to have 3 small children in the home that are all under the age of 3. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but Erica has 2 kids with her husband Sai named Lena and Vihan. And Vihan is 3 months and Lena is 2. And of course Mateo is only a day old in this scene. All the kids need a lot of attention, so I could see how that would be overwhelming for somebody. And going back to the scene, Mateo starts to cry because he's getting his diaper change. And Emerson is very tired and exhausted. In the confession with Emerson and her mom, Erica says that it's amazing that Emerson is interacting and she's hearing, she's doing what she's supposed to do and staying on top of stuff. But it's hard to watch Emerson being in need for Mason and for Mason not to automatically catch on that Emerson needs help. When Emerson finally gets the baby's diaper changed, the baby's hungry and people are trying to figure out where Mason is. And Mason is in the room sleeping. And in the confessional with Erica, Erica says that Mason is in a grace period with the whole family. He needs to stay on top of stuff because that grace period will not always be there forever. And they expect Mason to do just as much as Emerson, and they're holding them both to a standard. And I agree with Erica. And even though he's tired, he still needs to put in just as much effort as Emerson, because if he's tired, imagine how tired Emerson is. Next, we move on to Jenna and Aiden. Jenna and Aiden are going over to Matt and Kathy's house for dinner. And Jenna and her dad are in a better place now because they both had time to heal and just let things get back to normal. And in a different scene, Jenna and Aiden are getting in the car, going to Jenna's dad's house for dinner. And when they get in the car, Aiden asks what's for dinner, and Jenna doesn't know, and that's what she tells him. And a few seconds later, Jenna asks Aiden to slow down, and he tells her to shut up because she's the passenger and he's the driver. And Jenna just rolls her eyes. So I guess he's a fast driver, which I believe he is, because before he got the truck that he has, I believe he had a sports car. Then give it 10 seconds later, Aiden asks what's for dinner again, and Jenna says, if I didn't know a second ago, why would I know now? And Aiden says that when I asked the first time, that was a sign, send a text and ask what was for dinner. Which what seems to be a repeating pattern with Jenna and Aiden is that they don't have clear and direct communication. It's always, this or that, and that's not what I meant. So if Aiden just would have asked, hey, can you ask what's for dinner, it would have solved all of this, and I think it would help if they had clearer communication. Anyways, in the confessional, Jenna says that she hopes her dad doesn't ask what's going on with her and Aiden because it's not good and she really just doesn't want to talk about it. But going back to Matt and Kathy's house, Matt is just wondering what's going on with Jenna and Aiden because he doesn't know all the details, but he does know that the kind of relationship Jenna and Aiden have is toxic, and if he keeps going this way, it's only going to get worse. And he says he's going to tread lightly since him and Jenna just got back on the right track. And I think Aiden and Jenna's relationship reminds him a lot of him and Jenna's mom's relationship, so I think he just wants to avoid that and keep them both away from that path at all costs. Next, we move on to Kylan and Jason. Kylan thinks she's in labor and has been having pain all day, but when she finally feels like she's in labor, she woke up Jason to go to the hospital, and Jason didn't want to go because he felt like the baby wasn't coming, and basically just saying that she was being dramatic, even though he wouldn't know what it felt like and how she was feeling because he's not in her body. We all know that Jason thinks he knows everything, but Kylan is 41 weeks pregnant and she's a week overdue, so I would probably believe that she is going in labor or she's soon to be in labor. Jason is just being Jason. He's having an attitude the whole time while your girlfriend's in pain and in labor. In the confessional, Jason says that he feels like everyone was overreacting is no big deal, even though it is a very big deal because the fact that your girlfriend could be having a child today, pretty big moment in your life. But when they finally get in the car, they call Rebecca the midwife to see if they'll still take them in. Going back to the scene, Heidi and Matt wish Jason had some type of urgency because having a child is a pretty big deal and he just doesn't have any urgency or any sense of caringness, and he's just so nonchalant about it, which this is my issue with nonchalant people. They act like they don't care or they don't show that they care, and that's hard for me to deal with. But anyways, they call the midwife, and the midwife is asking questions, how far apart the contractions and all of that, and the contractions are 3 to 5 minutes apart, but they're lasting like a minute, and that's a sign that the baby is coming. In the confessional, Jason and Kylan say that they're both excited, and Jason says that he's more excited even though he may not show it. But going back to the scene, Kylan is in a lot of pain and Jason is just there, and he also says that why would you choose this day to go into labor? Even though women do not choose the day they go into labor, the baby chooses that. I'm not sure why I would ask Kylan a question of that sort. And he also asks Kylan if she's still planning on getting the epidural, which she doesn't answer because she's just in so much pain. And in the confessional with Jason and Kylan says that she doesn't deal with pain well and she may just get the epidural. And Jason says that what goes into your system goes into the baby system, and he doesn't support women doing drugs during pregnancy, which I don't believe an epidural and someone doing hardcore drugs are the same thing, but I'm pretty sure he got his information from some random person off of Facebook. I'm not shocked by anything Jason says or does anymore. So Kylan says that the contractions are a lot more painful than she thought it would be, and she doesn't think she can handle it, which labor and having a child is a lot on the human body, and I think a lot of people underestimate it, so I wouldn't be shocked if she did decide to get the epidural. Next, we move back around to Tiara and Dee. Tiara is in the hospital getting ready for her C-section, and with the C-section you have to do a lot of things ahead of time. You cannot eat or drink anything for so many hours, and you have to get a bunch of tests run. So it could be a pretty lengthy process waiting to get a C-section, but the C-section itself only takes around 10 or so minutes. Even though this is Tiara's second C-section, she is very nervous because you're getting cut open. I would hope if you are getting cut open, you would be nervous. But she's even more nervous because she's had low iron her whole pregnancy. And with low iron, it can cause your C-section to go bad. So she's waiting for her blood test to get back to see how the C-section is going to go for her. Back to Jenna and Aiden. Jenna and Aiden arrive at Jenna's dad's house to eat dinner, and Jenna says that her relationship with her dad is okay and they still have things to work on, but the relationship with Matt and Luca is good, and she feels like every grandparent should have a relationship with their grandchild. You know, when they get into a house, everything is going fine and smooth, and when they finally sit down to eat dinner, you know, they ask how life's going, and they ask Aiden, you know, what are you doing? How's life going for you? Just normal conversating. And Aiden says he's working every day. Now he's practically just existing. And in the confession with Matt and Kathy, Matt says it's a lot for two 18-year-olds to live on their own, pay their own bills, then have a child. Then he goes on to say that he thinks Aiden enjoys being the breadwinner, but he may feel like Jenna doesn't do her part and pull her weight. But Matt says that Jenna is pulling her weight by being a stay-at-home mom. Which I feel like that's a very big misconception about stay-at-home moms, is that stay-at-home moms are supposed to cook and clean for their partner all day, or just stay-at-home parents in general. But no, they're taking care of your child. Like, that's a full-time job just as much as anything else is. Does it require as much as physical labor? Probably not, but it's still a full-time job, and it would be difficult to get other things done. Going back to the scene, when they get done eating, they all go sit in the living room and watch Luca play. And when Jenna and her dad are sitting on the couch, she tells her dad that she's thinking about becoming a doula, which a doula is someone who supports a woman during labor, and the reason why she wants to become a doula is so she can move out and support herself. But she doesn't tell her dad that. She tells her dad she wants to become a doula because she likes breastfeeding, which I feel like she could have came up with such a better lie, or something like, I wish I had that type of support while I was in labor, or something like that. Anyways, that's not the point, and she probably hasn't even thought it all out. In the confessional with Matt and Kathy, Matt says he doesn't know what a doula is and what a doula does, but regardless of that, he's happy to see Jenna doing something for herself, because ever since she found out that she was pregnant, she's always been doing things for Luca and what's best for Luca. Going back to this scene, Matt is asking questions like, how do you become a doula? What are the requirements? And Jenna says you just call yourself a doula, even though I did look it up, and I do believe you have to take some classes and get like a certificate to do it. But like I said, I don't believe she hasn't thought it all out. I think she's just trying to get herself out of the situation. Aiden chimes in the conversation and says only rich people and hippies get doulas. And in the confessional, Aiden says he thinks it's stupid that Jenna wants to become a doula because they share a joint bank account, and she has a card to his bank account and they share money. Aiden doesn't know the truth of why Jenna really wants to become a doula. He just thinks she wants to do it for the fun of it, but she's doing it so she can move out. I don't know when she plans on telling Aiden the truth, but hopefully soon. Next, we move on to Emerson and Mason. Emerson and Mason are taking care of Mateo, and it's very tiring because Mateo has to eat every 1 to 2 hours. When Mateo cries, Emerson has to get up. It's even more tiring because Emerson is currently sleeping on the couch with Mason because Erica has forbidden Mason from going upstairs, and Emerson and Mason sleeping in the same bed. Going to the confessional, the producers ask who changed Morris' diapers, and Emerson says she does because Mason will say, I changed the diaper today already, even though the last time he changed the diaper was yesterday. So Emerson always ends up being the one who changes the diapers. And then a different confessional with Emerson and Erica. Erica says that Mason doesn't know how to support Emerson, and also how he thinks he's pulling his weight, but he's really not. And Emerson won't speak about how she feels, and she just kind of lets things like go on and continue on even if they bother her. And going back to the scene, they're sitting there and Emerson is just really tired and wants to get some rest. So Mason asks, does Emerson want to go upstairs? And she says yes, if you'll come. And he says he'll go upstairs with her. In the confessional with Emerson and Mason, Mason thinks that Emerson's mom is just trying to control the situation and continue to punish Emerson for getting pregnant. Which, not that I disagree with this statement, but they're already not a big fan of you. So why won't you just play by their rules a little bit, especially in their house, until y'all can have a conversation and get to a better agreement. I understand that they have a newborn baby and things are really difficult, but express that to Erica instead of breaking the rules, because now the rules are only going to get stricter and worse from here. We will see that as the season goes on. But lastly, we move on to Tiara and Dee. Melissa is at Tiara and Dee's house and is on the phone with Tyra trying to figure out what's going on with Tiara and see if the baby's here or is she still in the C-section, or what's going on with her. And she's on the phone with Tyra, like I said, trying to figure that out. And while she's on the phone with Tyra, she gets a text from Dee saying the baby was 7 pounds. And while this is all happening, Ella is like freaking out the whole scene, which maybe she just had to get up really early, or maybe she was just ready for a nap. I don't know what was going on, but like she was just freaking out the whole time. But anyways, Tiara gives birth to her baby named Inslee Joanne Raglan, born on July 21st at 7 pounds and 19 inches. When she was first born, she wasn't breathing for a little bit, but that's normal because since she wasn't born naturally, she still had the stuff in her lungs, I guess you still have while you're in the womb. I don't know what it's called. She didn't give a real description of it. But anyways, Tiara's C-section went very well and she got a healthy, happy baby. And in the confessional, she says that it's a good feeling to have baby Inslee here, and she's loved her as soon as she found out she was pregnant with her. She hopes Ella reacts to the baby well. And that was the end of the episode. It was a really good episode. We haven't had a bland or boring episode yet, and hopefully we don't anytime soon. Like, comment, subscribe if you want, and bye.